AITA for telling my daughter what actually happened in her childhood and traumatizing her. All names have been changed. I, 40F, have a daughter Lana, 20F. Lana's bio father Jake and his family are not in the picture. Since she was 4, my partner Leo, 42 meters, looked after her and raised her as his own. We do not have any children apart from Lana. Now the reason why Jake and his family are not in the picture is due to what happened between them and Lana in the past. To spare all the details, Jake and his father were found at taking not appropriate pictures of Lana when she was a baby and spreading them. That resulted in a court order against them serving the sentence, and they can't have any contact with me, Lana, or any of her future kids. They are also on the register for it. I understand how traumatic this might be to hear, so I haven't told Lana the whole truth, waiting for her to be older. Over the past few weeks, Lana have been behaving really weird. Usually she has great relationship with Leo, but suddenly she started picking on him and starting arguments. It came to a point where she ended up shouting at him for no reason over putting a knife covered in butter in a nearly empty jar of jam. Lana also said she wishes her real dad was here and she knows the whole truth and we are monsters for keeping them apart, as her auntie, Jake's sister, told her everything. Here where I can be an asshole. My blood boiled and I snapped. I told her what really happened and showed her the entire case file against Jake and his family, including the registry and the articles from the newspapers. I couldn't stop until Leo took me back, as Lana was mortified. She called me an asshole for dumping it all on her, and went to her room. It has been a couple of days where she only comes out at night to eat. She has en suite, and she took some time off from work too. I have tried talking to her and left a business card for a therapist if she needs help, but Lana wouldn't talk to me. Edit. Some people are assuming I was screaming at my daughter. That was not the case. I have never raised my voice towards her. Leo had to intervene and separate us as I was having a full-on anxiety attack and was crying while telling Lana all the information. I was angry at Jake's sister for going against the court order and contacting Lana, and I was horrified what could have happened if Lana met her bio father or told them where we live. Lana has no issues talking to Leo at the moment and she has apologized to him. But she is still pissed at me for not telling her about the entire situation sooner, while I would have preferred to do it later. Tell her the truth, not of what happened, but how you feel, how scared you felt for her, how unsure you were of when to tell her, how you still don't know when the right time would have been, how you don't know what you're doing and just trying to do your best, how you want no contact with that family because you can't ever forgive them for siding with a monster. Tell her how sorry you are for your reaction, and don't know how the best way to help is, but you'll be there whenever she needs you. Nah, your daughter is 20 and being fed the wrong information by a relative. You corrected it with proof. I'm sure this was a shock and very traumatic for her. It's flipped the narrative she had in her head, and now she's blaming you instead of her dad, as you're the one available and in the immediate. You're the one she sees as having done damage. You are not at fault, and hopefully she will realize this. She does need a therapist. I'm not going to call someone an asshole for locking themselves in their room after finding out they were sawed as a baby by their father. But you're certainly not an asshole either. I think both individual and family therapy would be available, and I hope she realizes this and gets professional help to process it. Nah, she's old enough to know the truth, but this isn't the way to do it. But I understand your outburst. It must have been hella traumatic for you too. NTA. You did what you had to protect your daughter. The aunt was manipulating her, and it honestly baffles me how someone can stand by such atrocious people. While it definitely is traumatizing for your daughter, she's an adult and I'm sure she'll come around to figure out that you had her best interest at heart. I'd also suggest you look into therapy, but not right away. Give her some time to process it all, and then slowly ease her into the idea. You're getting the anger because someone has to, and she knows you're safe. No matter what happens, you won't stop loving her. NTA. Sure, your daughter was being difficult and rude, but you getting back at her by trauma bombing something you had never even mentioned to her before seems cruel. Her aunt's actions aside, you punished her for not knowing something you never told her, and on top of that you did so by turning her entire world upside down. She's an asshole because she's still young. You're an asshole for negating 20 years of sheltering BC. You were angry. It's understandable why you were frustrated, but you should consider apologizing for the delivery emo. Nah, this is weirdly and scarily parallel to my life story. Lana's. I have a unique perspective, so here's my 2 cents. It is terrifying to be told this about the pictures. It's demeaning and deeply uncomfortable, but I had to know. It's better to know the full story in a safe environment and sooner than later, so you can work through it slowly and comfortably rather than being blindsided by it out of nowhere later in life. This is one of those situations where both routes will cause upheaval and pain. So I don't think anyone's the asshole but the one who did this to her. The only here is the woman who has been telling untruths to your daughter. Try and speak to her mom to daughter. Yes, it was a whole heap of cluster CK that's just been dumped on her. But she shouldn't have had someone tell her lies. Talk to her and give her a big hug up. Nah, you should have told her earlier. I hesitated to call you an because I'm sure it was very traumatic and you didn't want to relive it, so you kept pushing it off. And she isn't an for not reacting well to having this information thrown at her in an upsetting way. But at the very least, once she became a legal adult, she should have known. She could have started looking for her dad. She could have questions about her paternal family that you couldn't answer. And by not telling her a very crucial piece of information about why they're not in your life, then you gave her unwritten permission to be in contact with them. You can't expect people to follow court orders forever. She had the right to know. NTA. Are you pursuing Jake's sister for violating the court order? Nah, except for the aunt. Frankly, I would contact the police and made a complaint that she breached the order. You did your best to protect your daughter from this information. I understand why, but she really should have been told everything in an age-appropriate way before this happened. But you did your best in horrible circumstances and then had a panic attack. But she is not the asshole for being upset. It's a lot to take in, never mind the circumstances. Write her a letter about how you feel and explain how scared you were that aunt got in touch with her. That you wished you never had to share this information. That you love her and always will always protect her. That Leo will always love her and protect her like a daughter. That you both will always be there for her. Info. At what point were you planning to tell her the truth? And what did you tell her was the reason her dad was out of the picture? You spared all the details to the Redditors in this post. You haven't toward the main victim. You had 20 years to think about the right time and ways to share that very disturbing information. And you do it when she has been violently misinformed about bio father. And go anger toward the actual father figure. You jumped a bit too quickly there, emo, and violently yourself over as tiny a detail as butter jam crisis. You acted undoubtedly very courageously when you faced a crime, but that was your role. You should be proud. You are the good parent. Now you are the parent of the victim talking about the actual facts. I feel sorry for your daughter because she was first contacted by the aunt who served a biased story. And when you received that, you delegated the main narrative to legal reports and journalists instead of a prepared caring discussion. You are on the AITA sub. You know social media crazy contacts that can be made, DNA search etc. You could have seen that coming and you apparently retained and mismanaged to deal with the release of that cruel and scary facts before. YTA. I would say you are lucky if your daughter said it quickly via anger. She could have been 20 or 13 and remaining silent, leaving the whole story to the other part. If you do not use that therapist business card yourself, you would become a massive awe. Edit missing words. NTA. NTA. It is a complicated and difficult situation. Maybe some age-appropriate discussions would have been useful, like, he hurt you when you were a child, and a therapist earlier on, just in case someone contacted her or she Googled him. NTA. She's old enough and it might not have been necessary if the aunt hadn't said anything, but she did. So the truth had to come out. I guess it could have been done differently. But I understand you felt compelled to act, and I just don't know that I could have done better in that situation. I'm so sorry you've had to go through this. Well done for getting her out of that situation all those years ago. You're very strong. And as someone else said, she's blowing up on you because she knows it's safe to do so. This is going to be really hard for her. So be patient. All you can do is be as supportive as possible while she comes to terms with this on her own. YTA. Lana did need to know this. And YWNBTA if you had talked to a therapist about the best way to tell her, and then followed those guidelines. But let's get real. You were angry at her and you used her history as a weapon. I'm so sorry for this young woman for having two awful parents. YTA. Lana is 20. You should have told her a long time ago. Dumping it all on her in an argument was a horrible way of finally telling her. YTA. You can be right and still an asshole. You changed this whole girl's perception of life because you got mad? You had 20 years to plan how to tell this girl. That wasn't the way.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. AmITheAsshole is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.